We want your opinions too on the big fight. We've arranged for the fighters to put their pen to good use for us, signing for us Lennox Obliged this week in Las Vegas. And what a prize we have on offer for you. Details later on how you can win this pair of gloves signed by both Lewis and Rachman in our competition. That comes later, and it is one big fight after another tonight. First, it's Scott Harrison, Britain's Young Fighter of the Year, against Steve Robinson, a former world champion. They meet for the British and Commonwealth Featherweight titles. Big punching Wayne Alexander follows. He meets Scotland's Joe Townsley, at stake the British light middleweight crown. And there's Alex Arthur, Scotland's super featherweight prospect, against Laszlo Bognar of Hungary. All that, plus the best of tonight's amateur international between Scotland and Australia. What a night. But if you cannot stay with us throughout the night, don't forget, you can see the best of the action 9 a.m. and again 6 p.m. on Sunday on Sky Box Office. You're in for dereliction of duty. Why? Because your fighter is about to go to work in Glasgow. It's Scott Harrison defending his British and Commonwealth featherweight titles. Who needs Lennox, Lewis?
That's right. I mean, Scott is Scott is definitely the future for me, and I think tonight he's really going to shine.
How confident are you about this job tonight?
No, I think he'll stop him from around about 7 onwards.
You are on record, Frank, as saying that this, pound for pound, will become the best British fighter out there.
No, I believe that. I have great confidence in Scott.
Why?
Just the way he does everything. He's a real throwback to the old professionals. He's so dedicated to his job and works well in the gym, and he lives well outside of the gym, which is very important.
The veteran Steve Robinson comes to try to challenge and resurrect his career tonight, Spencer. What's his best chance of causing the upset?
I think that Steve is going to have to produce one of the best performances since the days of when he won the title and boxed against the likes of Paul Hodgkinson. Steve needs to put the combinations together and just apply the pressure and stay
Sum
with
it up
Scott.
for us, Barry, please.
It's a great fight. It's a perfect fight for Scott Harrison at this stage. It reminds me of the Hodgkinson when he fought Steve Robinson some years ago. Perfect time, 32 years old, 50th fight for Steve Robinson, just beginning to show the signs of wear and tear. This guy, Scott Harrison, is meticulous, wear him down. It'll be a great performance by him and a win.
Time to get the action underway then. The Bellahouston Sports Centre in Glasgow, a complete sellout for us tonight, and no wonder, with two of Britain's best talents topping the bill in big title defences, long-awaited title defences. And don't forget, if you have ordered this special event and experience any difficulty receiving our pictures, the number to call, 08705 800 888. That's 08705 800 888. Our team in Glasgow, Gary Jacobs joining Jim Watt and Adam Smith, and our MC, Michael Pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the first of our championship contests. Would you please welcome firstly to the ring, the challenger from Cardiff, Steve Robinson.
One of the toughest, most disciplined, and moreover knowledgeable members of the British boxing fraternity over the past decade. Steve Robinson, former European and extremely successful world champion, could write his life history now. There's certainly enough chapters. One day in 1993, the Debenham Storman and journeyman fighter went from zero to hero and the WBO featherweight title. He then beat fighters like Colin McMillan and Duke McKenzie. 16,000 fans cheered him on when he was finally outclassed by Nassim Hamed. Highs and lows of a roller coaster career have already come and gone. Now 32, will the Cinderella Man's fairy tale have a happy ending, or Jim, are his best days finally behind him?
Well, his best days are behind him, that's for sure, but he still has plenty left, and we have to remember Robinson is a fitness fanatic. He's got the pride of a champion. He has never even thought about quitting in any of his tough battles over the years. He's a fighter who learned how to be a fighter. He started at the bottom of it, he didn't cut any corners, he learned every aspect of the game, right all the way up to world class. As we say, a little bit past his best, but this is still a real test for Scott Harrison.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome home the champion from Cambuslang, Scotland, Scott Harrison.
What a reception! Here's the throwback featherweight middleweight who wants to go down in Scottish boxing history. At 24, Scott Harrison is really starting to roll. A phenomenal year has seen him add the British belt to his Commonwealth crown, and recently he became the first fighter from north of the border to win Britain's Young Boxer of the Year award since Gary Jacobs back in 1988. Voted by the boxing writers who headlines he craves and is getting back at last in front of his glowing Glaswegian faithful. And Jim, a young man you must be very, very proud of.
We're very proud of Scott. Everything going so well for him. He's the complete little fighter. He doesn't do any one thing exceptionally well, but he does everything so well. Punches, he moves, experience, he's building with him all the time. He already has 2 former world champion scalps on his record. He goes for a third tonight. This is the biggest night of his life, boxing in front of his own fans, and I'm sure he'll really be keyed up for this. We're looking for one of his best performances ever.
Real intense feeling at the Bellahouston Leisure Centre. Let's look at the tail of the tape. Good fight this. Steve Robinson is the senior by 8 years, but looks in great shape still. Got the slight height advantage. Was inside the 9-stone limit. Harrison had to strip naked and looked for Harrison to get inside early. Robinson been around a long time. More fights, far more rounds boxed. Knockout percentage, well, pretty level there on the stats. Could be a 50-50 affair.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and welcome to the Bellahouston Sports Centre here in Glasgow, Scotland. Tonight, Frank Warren Sports Network, in association with Glasgow City Council and our main sponsors Red Square and Verve, proudly present 12 3-minute rounds for the Featherweight Championship of Great Britain and the Commonwealth. We'd like to welcome our viewers watching live and exclusively on Sky Box Office. All of our officials this evening are appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control and the Commonwealth Council. Our steward in charge is Mr. Bernard Connolly. Timekeeper waiting patiently at the bell is Mr. Jim Russell from Glasgow, and when the action commences, our referee is one of the world's elite star referee, Mr. Richie Davis from Kent. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Championship Boxing. Introducing to you firstly, boxing out of the red corner, he's wearing the red-coloured shorts. At the weight he's scaled 8 stone, 12 and 3/4 pounds. He has an outstanding record. 49 contests, 32 wins. 17 of those wins coming by way of knockout. 15 defeats and 2 draws. He is the former WBO Featherweight Champion of the World from Cardiff, and tonight is the challenger for the championships, Steve Robinson. And his opponent, boxing out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the yellow trim. At the weight he scaled on the championship limit of 9 stones exactly. From 16 contests, he has 14 wins. 6 of those wins coming by way of knockout, with only the 1 solitary defeat and 1 draw. Tonight we present to you the Featherweight Champion of Great Britain and the Commonwealth from Cambuslang, Scotland, Scott the Real Harrison.
Listen to those fans.
Our referee, Mr. Richie Davis, will now give his final instructions to both boxers. This is 12 3-minute rounds for the Featherweight Championship of Great Britain and the Commonwealth.
Okay, fellas, you've both had your instructions in the dressing room. It's going to be a good, clean contest, and defend yourselves at all times. God bless you both.
Intriguing battle of skills, pressure and wit, surely to witness for the British and Commonwealth 9-stone titles. The youthful vigour, strength and talent of Harrison, the experience, determination and pride of the old warhorse Robinson, who still looks in terrific shape, coming in at 8 stone, 12 3/4 physically perfect, and all the pressure will be on the new Braveheart. Something he'll thrive on, or will he crumble under the wisdom of the Welshman who's sprung so many surprises in the past. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, now and again you see a match-up that just can't fail to be a great fight, and this is one of them. Both similar styles, both like to box the same way, in range at all times. They don't want to fiddle around, straight down to business, and that's what we're getting here, right down to business, both men.
Robinson told me he will take Harrison into new territory. But it's a good start from the Scot.
A low punch straight away from Robinson.
Robinson favours those digs to the body. He likes to get close, pin a fighter back up against the ropes like this. Harrison, who can start slowly, he did in his last defence against Gary Thornhill. Took a couple of rounds to really get going. Good left hand from Robinson. Seemed to just shake Harrison a little.
Yeah, it caught him clean on the chin, that one. Harrison's an excellent chin, but that one got him bang on the point. But thrown the effects immediately. He's in good shape.
Battle of the jabs in the centre of the ring, where we may see a great deal of action here. There's a mark from that left hook under the right eye of Scott Harrison. This is just another little stepping stone for the Cambuslang fighter, who's fought two former world champions before in Tracy Harris-Patterson and Tom Johnson. This Steve Robinson, though, not faded just yet.
Well, you have to expect Robinson to do his best work early. A couple of little leaks appearing in Harrison's defensive. That's a lovely right hand, and his legs have gone. That one is shaking him up. He needs his experience here, Adam.
Got his gloves up, but the legs were buckled of Steve Robinson. Right hands going in from Harrison. What a first round here in Glasgow. He holds on, Steve Robinson, using those 12 years of professional experience, but a barrage of punches coming from Harrison.
He hasn't thrown the effects, Adam. He's still stunned. He's boxing on instinct here. He's just looking at the floor and trying to survive here. That punch seemed to catch him high, but it's robbed him of his senses. He needs to hear this bell.
Trying to fight bravely back, Robinson, with the left hooks to the body. And now it's his turn to try and mount an offensive. One or two just straying on the low side. Wow, Harrison nods at Robinson, who was shaken badly.
Legs still unsteady, Adam. He hasn't thrown. They better get the ice pack on the neck here. That's just what they're doing now. Get some cold water. Great old trick, just lift up the shorts and pour the cold water down.
Guy Gardner, his manager and trainer there, who's been with him for so long. That was the right hand, Jim, that really shook Robinson.
Well, look, from where I'm sitting here, it caught him high, but it definitely robbed him of his senses, and his experience got him through there. Maybe less of experienced fighters would have started blazing back, but he knew he was hurt. Bang, yeah, just caught him a little bit high. But what a beauty that was. But onto safety mode, and as I say, his experience got him through there. He knew when to hold, when to punch back, and when just to survive, and that's exactly what he did.
More thrown and more landed from Scott Harrison, who also had to take a left hook too from Robinson, but got the better of the first round, and that was so important here. British and Commonwealth featherweight titles up for grabs. It's the second defence of the British and fourth defence of the Commonwealth for the 24-year-old Scott Harrison here in the black trunks. Local fighter, proud to be back in Glasgow. He won the Commonwealth title here back in January 2000. It's been nearly 2 years that he can reappear in front of his fans. Has Steve Robinson shaken off the effects of that right hand?
Harrison looking the more compact at the moment, the more controlled. Robinson reaching with his punches, and I wonder if he has thrown the effects of that. But Harrison nice and cool. He knows that the chance will come again.
Growing in confidence so much, Scott Harrison. He's been made to start quicker than usual here. The way he moves up through the gears so effectively when he has his man hurt. When he won the British title against Richie Wenton, he just did that, didn't he?
Yeah, well, there's a maturity about Harrison's work now. He's a man now, he's not a kid any longer, and he's proving that here. He took Robinson's best shots in the first round and came right through them. But Robinson needs a little bit of a success. He's got to land a big shot just to get himself psychologically back into this. Harrison's in the driving seat. This round is close, but the quality work is coming from Harrison.
Left hook again, just on the top of the head, partially blocked, but the uppercut got through, and Harrison's starting to really get to work now. Looks physically so much bigger in there, doesn't he?
See, Robinson is trying to push him back. That's what he has to do to try to take some of the sting out of his punches, but he can't sustain that. Harrison, as I say, the maturity, he's standing his ground, taking what he's got and pushing him back again. Leaky defence from Robinson, and that's unusual. Head is far too stationary, Adam.
Very upright, Robinson. The legs maybe starting to slow at 32. The size of Harrison's thighs compared to Robinson. Really chunky featherweight.
But Robinson has to dent the confidence that Harrison's building here. Tremendous start from Harrison, and he's just getting better. Low punching again from Robinson on the blind side of the referee.
Harrison still looking for those uppercuts to squeak in underneath the guard. It's a good left hook to the body, but Robinson showed no ill effect. Another one whips in.
Harrison is doing a job on Robinson at this point. I did not expect that. I expected Robinson maybe going to an early lead, but that hasn't happened.
Busy start and so much more to come. If you have ordered this special event and experience any difficulty receiving our pictures tonight, the number to call 08705 800 888. That's one more time, 08705 800 888.
Well, what a great start here in Glasgow to this British and Commonwealth 9-stone title defence. And Scott Harrison, there he is with Father Peter and Billy Nelson in the corner, just rubbing the grease on him. He couldn't have got off to a better beginning, Jim.
Well, I expected Robinson's best work to come in the first 4 or 5 rounds. If that's the case, then he's in serious trouble here. I still don't think he's thrown the effects of that punch in the first round. He hasn't. There's no confidence in what he's doing. He's coming off second best. That was a big round for Harrison.
It's Scotland against Wales here. It's youth against experience. And at the moment, Scott Harrison is taking the fight to Steve Robinson and looking very good indeed. Do we just possibly have a star on our hands from here north of the border?
I'm still not happy with Robinson's balance. Just now and again you see him, his legs are doing funny things. I don't mean he's hurt. I don't think he's recovered from that. His confidence is gone. He's getting caught square on, his head's not moving.
There's no snap at all in the work of the Welshman, the fitness fanatic who's looking to become a personal trainer. When he hangs up his gloves, he says it won't be now because he's going to beat Scott Harrison. This is looking more and more unlikely.
Even his tactics at the moment, Robinson, he's like a man who's hurt and is just biding time till his head clears. There's no authority in his work, there's no snap in his punches. I think that right hand of Harrison has knocked so much of the fight out of him.
He has lost 4 in a row, all in good class, Steve Robinson. European title, great left hook from Harrison getting through. Again the legs went of Steve Robinson. And the pressure being inflicted now. I think you're right, Jim. I don't think he's recovered from that first round. And this looks as though Scott Harrison could take Robinson out here.
He is so open. I mean, he was always noted for his tight defence, Robinson. Chin down, hands up. But he's so open and he's taken the punches full force. That is the first sign when you're on the other side of the hill. Punches that you used to glance off, you're taking full force, and that's what happened to him. He's going to be caught so cleanly from Harrison.
It's all Harrison here. And Robinson offering little in terms of resistance. He's going to have to throw something back. He's tumbled to the floor. is getting in the way, and he's going to count that as a knockdown in round 3. Very, very worrying moments for Steve Robinson. Is Scott Harrison on the verge of what would be an exceptionally good, quick victory?
The referee's thinking, Adam, the referee's having a good look here. Robinson must grab hold and he must blaze back.
His legs have gone, Jim. His balance is all over the place. And Harrison here about to take Robinson out.
This is what he must do, grab hold, try to get his head clear. It's not going to happen, it's not going to be his night. All signs are against him. But he started doing things wrong. The ultimate pro is doing things wrong. It's all over.
That's it! Inside 3 rounds, Scott Harrison has the win of his career. And Steve Robinson is battered to defeat. A terrific triumph in front of his home fans. And, well, hardly anyone has done that to Steve Robinson. Yes, he was 32. Yes, it was his 50th professional fight. But this is a proud, hard warrior. And Scott Harrison was simply superb.
Yeah, it would be easy to say Robinson's not what he once was. We don't know what he brought to the ring tonight, Adam, because that right hand in the first round just robbed him of everything that he brought here tonight. That took the fight out of him. He never recovered from it. He never got his balance right, so there was no snap on his punches. That was a tremendous job from start to finish from young Harrison. Perfect job. Did everything right, nothing wrong.
Well, poor Steve Robinson. But look at Harrison. Constant pressure. And Robinson was offering nothing.
At this stage he was gone. Steve Robinson has never in his career thought about quitting, and he wasn't thinking about it here, but he just couldn't cope with what was coming his way. The referee was quite right to count there because he'd taken so many punches. Although he did stumble over, it was a legitimate knockdown. That's the punch there that actually caused the knockdown. His legs were gone. From that point, threw a punch back just on sheer instinct, but at this stage, totally gone.
This Scott Harrison looks like he's really packing some power too. His 7th inside the distance win in 17 fights. And, well, the old warhorse had nothing left.
And more maturity coming from young Harrison. He is fast reaching his peak. They can risk him with any featherweight, I would say, well, within reason, to qualify that remark, but he is ready to face a world champion now.
And everybody is absolutely loving it here. Scotland have got somebody they can be very, very proud of. Are you looking at the next world champion? Remember the heydays of Jim here and Ken Buchanan, who is a big supporter. He's ringside tonight too. Scott Harrison, TKO, round 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 2 minutes and 51 seconds of round number 3, referee Richie Davis has stopped the contest. In his opinion, Steve Robinson is in no position to continue. Your winner, and still the featherweight champion of Great Britain and the Commonwealth from Cambuslang, Scott the Real Harrison. And ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause please for one of the finest world champions of the 1990s, Steve Robinson. Our steward in charge, Mr. Bernard Connolly, will now present the championship belts to the winner and still the featherweight champion of Great Britain and the Commonwealth, Scott Harrison.
Could be very special for Scotland. Reigning British and Commonwealth featherweight champion, and perhaps only the start for him at 24. Britain's young fighter of the year, and growing in confidence week to week. Bright times for Frank Maloney's protege.
Yeah, I'll be back in Vegas soon.
Well done to Harrison tonight. Let's hear from him now at ringside.
Scott, the 3rd former world champion you faced, Tracy Harris-Patterson and Tom Johnson took you the distance. but that was so impressive against a man with real pride, Steve Robinson.
It was a good fight, and he's been a good champion in his day. I think he's come to the end of the road now, but it would have been a tougher fight when he was world champion. Big respect for him.
But he trained very, very hard for this fight, and I'm sure you didn't think it would end as quickly as that.
I know it's quite like that. I thought I'd break him down maybe 8th or 9th round, but we've been working on a fast start. And in the gym, it paid off the night, just letting the shots go early. First of all, I don't know why, dedicate this fight to Peter Moore, who died last week.
Well done for that. And you caught him with a right hand at the beginning. He never seemed to recover.
I never seen me recover. It kind of wobbled. And I just paid him my time, used my jab, used my footwork as well, and just letting the combinations go.
Now, your manager, Frank Maloney, is back in London in the studio. He must be delighted. Have you got a message to him?
No, I think, he says that, if you've a bad performance, he's got to slaughter us, but no, I done no bad, Frank.
He must be very proud of you, I'm sure he is. We'll hear from him in a minute.
I should be.
And what's the next thing for Scott Harrison? A rest over Christmas after a terrific year?
I'll have a rest, maybe January, I need to see January. I need to see.
Back in Scotland in January.
Back in Scotland in January.
Hopefully, the crowd, I like to thank the crowd, the Glasgow public. They came out and turned up, Scottish public.
Some atmosphere tonight. Well done, Scott. Enjoy it.
A couple of weeks of rest then, Frank. Was that in the contract that you did with him?
Yeah. That was a very good performance. I mean, that first right hand just took apart. When I left them at lunchtime today, his father said to me, don't be surprised with a quick stoppage, because we've been working on getting Scott to start a lot faster than he normally starts. Well, tonight he done that, and that was a great performance.
Do you get the idea that you've got a property for Scottish boxing, the likes of Watt, Buchanan, who can capture public imagination?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the guy sold over 500 tickets himself for this show, and he was the one who begged us to come to Scotland. He's repaid us by selling out, and a great performance.
The detractors have said, Spencer, that in previous performances Harrison has been a little slow to start. Did you see that tonight?
No, tonight it was a total different game plan. Scott Harrison is improving all the time. He's impressing me every time that he boxes. He's getting better and better. He's only 24 years of age, and he can only go on, and I think that he can go on to win a world title.
What impressed you particularly about the way he went about the task here?
He just seemed so solid, all-round solid performer, and the first right hand really rocked Steve Robinson right down to his boots, and he never recovered. But you could just see the way he's piling on the pressure there. Excellent shots, just straight through the guard, and Robinson never recovered from that first right hand.
Barry, in our preview show on Friday night, you did call into question whether Robinson, in fact, would at this stage present a big threat.
Yeah, I have always, in the last couple of fights, I've noticed that Robinson's legs have not been the same. His motor skills and certainly his coordination is not as good. He's got tremendous determination, driven, always in great shape, but he just hasn't got the ability to soak up the punishment. His mind is there, but he just doesn't, his body betrays that.
Now, before I went down there to interview Steve Robinson earlier on in the week, we've done some stuff, I took him on the pads. I still thought that there was a lot there, and I thought he was going to give Scott Harrison a tough night's work. So that just goes to show me how much Scott's been coming on.
What about that point that Spencer makes, Barry?
Yeah, no, despite what Spencer says, I still think that they can look good in training, but in actual fights it showed against Ramirez that his legs were gone. And I have to tell you that he did put up a great performance there, but Scott Harrison's improving all the time. He's a vastly improved fighter, great combinations, getting better and maturing all the time.
Right, Frank, you've got to take it to the next level. British and Commonwealth's fantastic. We want to see it become a world experience. How are you going to do that with Harrison?
Well, we're going to select the opponents like an educational program. Also, I'm going to arrange for him and his father to go to Freddie Roach's gym in LA and work there with some of the Americans and Mexicans that Freddie Roach has got in his gym. I was over there last week, and I'm amazed at the kids who we've never heard of.
It's a great idea.
And I just think that, and then I'm going to speak to Frank on Monday, and I've just heard Medina's won the IBF title.
Yes.
And, we got Medina right for Paul Ingalls. I would like to get Scott Harrison and Medina together.
Thank you very much. He sparkled there, Harrison. We're only getting started. Big punching Wayne Alexander meets Scotland's Joe Townsley shortly. At stake, the British light middleweight crown. We wait for Alex Arthur, Scotland's super featherweight prospect, against Laszlo Bognar of Hungary. And still to come from Glasgow, the best of tonight's amateur international between Scotland and Australia. British light middleweight title fight coming up next in Glasgow. Thoughts on this, Barry?
Yeah, I think it's a good fight. Joe Townsley showed against Adrian Stone that he's a tough, durable guy and very determined, but he hasn't met anybody that could punch quite as hard as Alexander. Well, he has. He met him in the amateurs, but this is revisited here in the ring.
Spencer, what are you hearing about Wayne Alexander, who's one of the most destructive punchers in Britain? He's been out for a while. How ready is he?
He has been out for a while, but the division, this is the strongest division in the country at the moment with so many good fighters, and I think that he's very up for it and very focused. And what, as Barry said there, I boxed in a multi-nations tournament in '94, and that was the fight that these two had, and Wayne Alexander knocked Joe Townsley out, and I think that will play on his mind.
Thank you. He's a very exciting performer. His chance is next. British light middleweight title defence by Alexander. Just about the most destructive puncher in the British game right now. He's the British light middleweight champion, and he's about to defend his...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the second of our championship contests. Would you please welcome firstly to the ring the challenger from Motherwell, Joe Townsley.
Massive opportunity for Scotland to bring another British belt home north of the border. But Motherwell's Joe Townsley does start a huge underdog in his quest for a first major title. The bright, quietly spoken man has never needed a box, self-employed in the family business of laying down tarmac, to which Joe says the Townsleys have built almost every road in the area, including this one to the Bellahouston Leisure Centre. His road to stardom was shattered by Adrian Stone in a brave defeat for the IBO title, but he says his experience over long distances and his boxing heart, which has been so evident, will upset the apple cart here. It's a tall order, Jim.
It's a tall order, Adam, yeah, but it's not the best time in history to be a light middleweight in Britain. A real tough division, which is maybe the reason that Joe's getting this chance, because most of the other boxers in the division are holding titles, but this is a tough match for him. He proved he can grit his teeth and do a top 12 rounder. But the problem is, if things start going wrong tonight, he knows what pain's all about. He suffered it against Stone. Will he have the same appetite to go through it again?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, presenting from Croydon, the champion, Wayne Alexander.
Finally, after 21 months of frustration, one of the most concussive punchers in British boxing steps into the ring to defend his domestic title. London's Wayne Alexander, often in thrillers, his power matched by a possible vulnerability in the chin department. A bar brawl with unbeaten Paul Samuels saw him win the Lonsdale belt, but 2001 has not been kind to the Croydon banger. A valiant effort at the last hour saw him come up short in a world cracker, Harry Simon. Broken hands so often a puncher's problem, and a poor workout last time. Now in the lion's den, being booed to the ring, and Alexander in need of a devastating display.
Yeah. I mean, you can see how supremely confident he is. He's very proud of being British champion. He's been wanting to defend that title for quite some time, but could never seem to find a challenger. He's found one tonight, but he must really fancy himself here. He already holds a win over Townsley in the amateurs, a devastating win. He must reckon he's better than Townsley in every department. I think the only chance here, he's now even tried to psych him out. Referee, yeah, one out of that. Don't need any of that nonsense. Sporting contest is what we're here for, but Alexander very heavily favoured.
Supremely confident, that's how they line up. Townsley, a year older, he's got the height and reach advantage if he can use it. Both put in great shape on the scales. Alexander will be looking to get inside and unload his bombs. Well, both turned pro in 1995. More fights for Townsley and many more rounds boxed, but look at that knockout percentage. 76 for Wayne Alexander, arguably the biggest puncher in British boxing today.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more a very good evening and welcome to the electric atmosphere here at the Bellahouston Sports Centre, Glasgow, Scotland. Tonight, Frank Warren Sports Network, in association with the Glasgow City Council and our main sponsors, Red Square and Verve, proudly present this 12 3-minute rounds for the Light Middleweight Championship of Great Britain. We'd like to welcome once more our viewers watching live and exclusively on Sky Box Office. Our officials this evening, appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control, are Doctors Dr. Duff and Dr. Townsley. Our steward in charge is Mr. Bernard Connolly. Timekeeper of the bell is Mr. Jim Russell from Glasgow, and our referee when the action commences is one of the world's elite. Star referee Mr. Paul Thomas from Derby. And now introducing the boxers. Presenting out of the red corner, wearing the white-coloured shorts with a black trim. At the weighing he's scaled, 10 stone, 13 and 3/4 pounds. He has an excellent record of 22 contests, 20 wins, 5 of those wins coming by way of knockout, with only 2 defeats. Tonight, he is the challenger for the championship. Please welcome from Motherwell, Joe Townsley. And his opponent, boxing out of the blue corner, he's wearing the pale blue and white coloured shorts. At the weighing he scaled, 10 stone, 13 and 1/4 pounds. He has an awesome record of 17 contests, 16 wins. 13 of those wins coming by way of knockout, with only the 1 solitary defeat. Tonight, he makes the proud first defense of his championship. He is the current and reigning light middleweight champion of Great Britain from Croydon, Wayne the Great Alexander. Our referee, Mr. Paul Thomas, will now give his final instructions to both boxers. This is 12 3-minute rounds for the light middleweight championship of Great Britain.
I've spoken to you both in the dressing room. You know what I expect of you. Keep your shots on the target area. Remember to obey my instructions all through this contest. Touch gloves. Best of luck to both of you. Touch gloves. Well done.
Power against pride, strength versus heart. The hard-hitting champion tackles the underdog Braveheart, and they've met before. Wayne Alexander dispatched Joe Townsley in a round 7 years ago and promises to repeat the feat tonight. Don't blink. Not a time to go and put the kettle on. Alexander is very, very fast early. Will he land on Joe Townsley? If he doesn't blow him away, stamina comes into play, and that may favour the Scottish fighter.
Well, the good thing for Townsley, he is an excellent boxer and there's no pressure on him tonight. He's a massive underdog, so if he wants to box negatively for a few rounds, just to try to drag Alexander into the later stages, when who knows, his stamina might be suspect. Nobody would blame him for that. We're not looking for any heroics early. If he can get on his bike and just keep himself upright over the first 3 or 4 rounds, don't take chances against this fellow.
That's a straight right hand, gets through from Alexander. Can Townsley take the pat? He was down in the very first round against Adrian Stone down in Plymouth and was knocked over 5 times in the entire 12-round battle. Possibly should have been pulled out of that. Alexander may hit harder than Stone.
Well, he must box carefully, but he still has to hit hard enough to try to discourage Wayne Alexander. If Wayne Alexander can come right through his punches, then he's in serious trouble. He has to put a little bit of snap into his shots, but at the same time think defensively in the early rounds.
He can't war with Alexander. He's got to box sensibly behind that jab, Townsley, to really have any chance of taking it late. Alexander had a negative performance last time out. And he goes down, but it was a slip. The crowd think it was a knockdown, and Paul Thomas is counting it, Jim.
Well, I would never have called that a knockdown, but there you go. If Joe Townsley needed a little bit of encouragement, he certainly found it now.
Alexander immediately shook his head after that, but he has been down before. It's the puncher with the slightly leaky defence. Question marks over his chin, but that could just drive him on. Got to favour Alexander in toe-to-toe trench warfare.
Well, that must be a confidence builder, Abel. That's it. It's evened up now.
Down goes Townsley. He's not badly hurt. He's straight up. One apiece in this first round. Jimmy Tibbs screaming to Wayne Alexander. Townsley bravely fights back. Is this going to be a question of power? He's down twice. He knew this might happen early. He's got to get through it. He said he would keep getting up. There's a cut under the right eye too. 10 seconds to get through the first round. Alexander now looking for the finish, but Townsley holds on. What a start here. 3 knockdowns inside the opening 3 minutes. Was Wayne Alexander's a knockdown? You thought not, but Townsley's definitely were.
Yep, no question there. But at least Townsley has tasted the power. He's gone on the floor twice and got back up again, and his head's clear. There's no serious damage, but tremendous natural power from Wayne Alexander. Well, I wouldn't have called that a knockdown.
No way.
Nah, no way can you possibly call that a knockdown, but the referee did, and that makes a difference as far as scoring the round goes. But no question in Alexander's knockdowns, no question whatsoever. Just the natural power, doesn't have to wind the shots up. Power just comes naturally, just shoots out the fist, the power's there.
How do you score that, Jim?
I've scored at 10-9 because of the knockdown for Townsley. 10-9 to Alexander.
A slip though, and Townsley down twice to Alexander's big shots, goes for the left hook, and Townsley drops again to one knee. It's the difference in power, I'm afraid. Joe Townsley felt it 7 years ago. I don't think he wants to know. He just about makes it, but Paul Thomas waves it off. It is a second round win for Wayne Alexander and a successful first defence of his British title. And it was just the difference in punch power. A shame, really.
I'm not sure, Adam. I think that punch caught him in the nose, and that kind of punch is a sickener. I think it wasn't that it was close to knockout, but the pain involved, it's quite possible it's a broken nose. It looked like one of those sickening punches, the little second delay before the pain actually registered in the brain. He wasn't on the verge of being knocked out, but that just took everything out. I know exactly how he feels. That was a sickener.
The blood coming
it just
from
caught his nose.
The nose in the corner now, and well, down 3 times, he wasn't going to win.
No, definitely not, but this man, you cannot question this man's courage. He showed his last time out. That was one of those real sickening punches. It just, right along the front of his nose, it's probably broken the nose, and the pain involved there, nobody would want to go on with a broken nose.
Yes, Benny King working on the nose right away in the corner of Joe Townsley, and very disheartened and a silenced crowd. But got to give Wayne Alexander credit for that. 3 knockdowns inside, 4 minutes, and there's the immense power that the British light middleweight champion holds. It would be good to see him in amongst the very best in the division, the Richard Williamses, the Takalus, the Steve Roberts. I wonder if those fights can be made. It's a good end to the year for Wayne Alexander.
It was also nice to see him looking so sharp tonight. He was really boxing sharp up to that point. I think he had shown everyone who was the champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 29 seconds of round number 2, our referee, Mr. Paul Thomas, has stopped the contest. In his opinion, Joe Townsley in no position to continue. Your winner, and still the light middleweight champion of Great Britain, Wayne Alexander.
Sporting applause,
please, for a very gallant
in Scotland. If you have not seen Alexander before, that sums the man up. Less than 6 minutes to punch his challenger apart. He's the British champion, and he has that Lonsdale belt. Wear it with pride, of course, but you get the idea that sooner or later they're surely going to have to let him off the leash at a higher level. How does he show up so confident, Barry, when he's hardly had any action this year?
Well, he's a diligent trainer. He gets lots of work in the gym. I know Jimmy Tibbs is a fabulous trainer and will give him lots of good work, even between fights, to make sure that he's got, he'll spar him light to make sure his accuracy is kept up and whatever. But yeah, I think the good sparring closer to the fight is what makes a difference. In this case, a young guy, determined, knows he's going places, oozing confidence. He's such a naturally heavy puncher, phenomenal puncher, quite honestly.
Spencer?
Well, that's what I was going to say. This division at the moment is thriving with all the big names, Richard Williams, Steve Roberts, Takalu, and Wayne's hungry for success too. He's very hungry.
He can be well pleased with his performance against tonight, Alexander. And generally has some forthright opinions. Let's hear from him now.
When it's been a pretty hard year for you, but you were determined to make a statement tonight, weren't you?
Yeah, let me say one thing first. Mum, come downstairs now. Uncle Les told Mum to come downstairs, I've won. My mum's upstairs with her eyes closed.
You live with her at home, don't you, still?
Yeah, I've done it, Mum, done it.
It was a very, very important night for you, this, wasn't it, against Joe Townsley? First defence in 21 months, and you had to prove something.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I mean, you know, there's a few light middleweights out there that are calling my name. Takalu, Fano, Robert, Stone, Williams. They're all good fighters, very good fighters, but they're not in my class, you know. I'm much better than them. I'm looking for the European title, then the world title next.
You've beaten Joe Townsley before in the amateurs. Was it a question of you knew you'd do it again?
Well, I mean, that was 7 years ago, so I mean, I trained hard for the fight. I've watched Joe progress from, you know, when he turned pro, and he's done well. He went 12 rounds of Adrian Stone, so I knew he was strong and fit, so I trained to go 12 rounds.
You're mentioning a European title shot. Let's bring Frank Warren in here. Will that happen soon?
Yes, I won the purse bids for that fight, so we're going to look to do that fight early next year. And then...
What about the other British guys? I mean, it's such a great division. Will he fight a Takalu or a Richard Williams?
Well, it's not hard for us to make fights, you know, with guys in our camp. But I'd love for Wayne to win that European in January, and then probably go to fight Steve Roberts or Williams. Either of those. Barry Hearns told me he wants to fight. Wayne wants to fight. I certainly would love to see him, because I'll tell you, the winner is sitting right here with those two guys.
Best in Britain?
Yeah, best in Europe. I mean, the other guys are good fighters, but, you know, I'm way above them. I mean, I'm looking at Oscar De La Hoya, Ronald Winky Wright, you know, Vargas. That's what I'm looking at.
We'd like to see it next year. Well done tonight, Wayne.
Outstanding, but then again, we're getting used to that from Wayne Alexander. Been some very persuasive performances from the champions so far in Glasgow. Next up, Alex Arthur, Scotland's brightest young hope, but facing a step up in class tonight against the knowing, experienced Laszlo Bognar. Could you ask for more from a British champion? A swift stoppage tonight of Joe Townsley. Wayne Alexander reigns on as British light middleweight title holder. And you have the idea that there's a great deal more still to come. We're reminded, Spencer, that you actually were a contemporary going way back to when you were nippers.
Yeah, me and Wayne, we boxed right through the amateurs together, and I've always followed him since he turned professional. I mean, we boxed in different countries together.
Is it true that he was knocking out as a 12-year-old and 13-year-old?
Well, that's what I was saying off air. I mean,
you wouldn't want to nick his milk bottle at school, would you?
Exactly. This guy has phenomenal punching power, and he always did have, even as a 13-year-old kid.
Is there yet more to come?
I think there certainly is. I think he can go on and win a European title, definitely. And I think given the right time and taking the right route, he may go on and win a world title.
Barry, let's look again at all the knockdowns in this fight. What about the first one, which, not for the first time in his career, went against Alexander?
Yeah, there's still a question mark, and he had a bit of a rook with me, but I said maybe he's possibly a little bit chinny himself, and that's what you get with a lot of terrifically devastating punches like Wayne Alexander. But I don't think this one could be called a legitimate knockout. He sort of half hit him, clipped him, and went off him, but it wasn't a really solid punch that landed. That was why he was angry when he got up, and actually spurred on his performance. But you see, when he got through himself, he got through with a great shot and landed. But that was, again, another angle of that sort of dubious knockdown.
Now, the fact that he did go down, Spencer, does that make him look at the job differently?
I think that it was just a glancing blow. I think that I know when he got up from that, you knew that he was gonna, it was gonna spur him on. He was gonna try and get the job done even possibly even quicker.
This left hook here was even the harder punch. This one landed right through.
That was the second. That was the second knockdown.
Terrific left hook. He's probably the best puncher in the light middleweight division. Gary, the Rocket Lockett, might have a little bit of an argument about that, but there's no doubt he's a great finisher too. Thinks about where he puts his punches. punches equally as hard to the body and to the head. That was the final big long lunge and left hook, and I've no doubt that that's broken Joe Townsley's nose. The blood poured out of his nose, and if you look at his face after, just look at the destructive job he's done. It just caught him on the edge of the nose. The guy grimaced with pain, went down on his knees and said, oh.
Can we just point out as well, we've seen Joe Townsley against Adrian Stone, and he is a brave young man.
He took phenomenal punches that night, but that just goes and indicates the amount of natural power. I mean, Spencer talked about him as being as a kid, but he's brought that right through to the pro game too, and that's what he does so well. He lands his punch with such authority.
That's right, and I mean, we see there's 6 minutes of boxing, and as Barry said, you look at Joe Townsley's face, he's got a broken nose, he's marked up everywhere. This guy really does punch with venom.
Spencer, where next? Now, Frank Warren tonight tells us he wants to put this European title bid on. Technically, it's a vacant title at the moment. That has got to be his level, surely.
That is the move. He's got to go for that. They're talking about early part of next year. That would be the move. But wouldn't it be good to see him boxing Steve Roberts or Richard Williams, who, again, he fought in the amateurs? You know, there's some great fights out there on the domestic scene.
Let's get some thoughts from Glasgow. Gary Jacobs, another of Scotland's finest, has joined Adam Smith.
Yes, it's been tremendous action here, hasn't it? Really a mixed night for the Scots. Let's look at Wayne Alexander's destructive performance first of all. Too much power, too good for Townsley.
Yeah, I think he was just far too strong. He had the punch, and Joe Townsley never had anything to keep him away or to distract him or to persuade him to stand off. He just walked right through Townsley.
Did he need to do that tonight, Alexander, send a message out to the other boys in the division?
Well, if he wants to go anywhere, and he wants to go places, and he was defending his British title, and he was acting there as if he wants to be European or world champion. He just walked straight through Townsley. A great performance.
Sad night for Townsley. Will we see him again?
He'll probably have to go sit down, take a couple of weeks off and rethink.
A far better night, though, for Scott Harrison, who was simply scintillating against Steve Robinson. Very few fighters do that to the old former world champion.
Yeah, I think Scott Harrison was sensational tonight. Fantastic, true and well worthy of a world title fight now. I mean, he's just developing all the time, and nobody really does that to Steve Robinson.
What do you like so much about Scott Harrison, and the people are really catching on here? Is he just a throwback?
No, I think he's really developing. I mean, he came forward, he was constant pressure. He's normally a slow starter. He knew about Robinson, he went on, and he didn't give up from the first bell. I mean, he just kept on top of him.
Ready for a world title next year?
Definitely.
Well, they're talking about Manuel Medina, the IBF champion. Let's hope, Frank, you can get that on for us. Scott's got a chance. Back to you, Paul.
Back to Glasgow now, and a very exciting young Scottish talent went into the ring there earlier tonight. The name Alex Arthur, and you may well get to be very familiar with this young man. He's just 23 years of age, super featherweight, looking for an 8th straight win since turning professional. Nearly all of them have been quick wins. But a step up in class tonight against a very experienced and capable Hungarian, Laszlo Bognar. Here's the first bell.
Best boxer Scotland have produced since Gary Jacobs. Many who have been following his sensational amateur career in these parts believe he will go one better and win a world title like tartan legend Ken Buchanan and the gentleman sitting alongside me. Let's bring Jim Watt straight in. Could Alex Arthur here in the white and gold trunks be as good as you?
Well, I would definitely say so. He certainly achieved much more as an amateur than I did. Boxed in top class and won at top class. And I think he's the type of kid, the better the opposition, the better he will box. I think he'll have a lot of respect for this fellow he's in with tonight. Very experienced man. So I think he'll think every move out as he usually does. He won't take any chances, certainly early. He'll find out the best way to do the job and then set about that. The only thing that worries me is slight lack of experience, but talent-wise, no doubts whatsoever in my mind.
It's the first mini test here for Arthur, who wanted this contest. He watched Laszlo Bognar beating Michael Gomez, the British super featherweight champion, back in February, and giving him all sorts of problems in the summer. He floored Gomez a couple of times before the Manchester fighter took Bognar out in 3. Arthur wanted it, and he's got it. How will he deal with him? It's a positive start, as always. And he says the southpaw style will not be an issue because he's fought over 80 in the amateur competition. There's a cut already on the right eye, just small, of Bognar. who's having difficulty coping with the reach of Arthur. Good left hook to the body. That's his honey punch.
This is the kind of first round you want to see from Arthur. Nice and careful, but just take the initiative. Don't let this fellow, old man, you start dictating how the action should go. Just good, thoughtful boxing. That's what we're getting.
Bognar having difficulty getting his own jab into play. Very experienced amateur himself. Made the Hungarian team for the Barcelona Olympics.
He's just going to have to step in a little bit with the punches as the fight goes on. He's been careful, quite rightly so. It's only the first round, doing fine. But as it progresses, he wants to step in with those punches, because if he reaches against an experienced fellow, he's going to be countered. Just step in behind him.
Everything off that long jab, Alex Arthur. And good opening look at him, really. Impressive. Mature young fighter. 7 out of 7 so far for the 23-year-old, 5 inside the distance. Looks a good puncher as well as a boxer. Peter Harrison, Scott's father, and Billy Nelson in the corner there. And pretty good start from Arthur.
Yeah, good start. Wasn't a big round, but you don't expect a big round. But took a couple of punches back himself, which is fine. But the better quality work coming from Arthur. A good start. Nice body shots. Some more of those as the fight goes on. Will certainly slow this fellow down as well.
Round 2.
Scotland's brightest new hope calls himself Amazing Alex Arthur, AAA, on the white trunks for the 23-year-old from Edinburgh. International super featherweight contest, first 8-rounder for Arthur up against Laszlo Bognar, the 33-year-old from Szolnok in Hungary, who's won 27 of his 33 fights and made his big name when he gate crashed the division in Widnes in February and stunned British boxing by beating an underprepared Michael Gomez. Gomez had Bognar down on the floor even in that fight, so quite how good Bognar is, possibly it was how bad Gomez was that night.
It's possible the Gomez fight flattered Bognar a little bit, but nevertheless he's a competent performer. He's mixed at a decent level. He's learned the game. So he's going to put, already he's posing Arthur a couple of problems he hasn't seen before as a pro, but he's coping with them so well.
Good body shots from Arthur, and that was Bognar's undoing at the Velodrome in July when Gomez enacted revenge.
He's just reaching a little bit too much with the punches.
He looks confident, Laszlo Bognar. Pretty decent shape. Won his first 16 fights, Bognar, before coming up against the very talented South African Cassius Beloy. Good combination from Arthur, fast hands.
I think Arthur's tumbled at single punches that aren't working against this fellow, so he's putting 2s and 3s in. Maybe missed with the first one, but the second and third have a good chance of landing.
It's a good learning experience from a man who wants to get to the top very quickly, Arthur. He's had these 7 fights against pretty limited opposition, and he knows he can handle himself on the bigger stage, as he proved internationally. There's a cracking right hand, touching the crowd tonight. He's starting to work Bognar over here. Impressive burst from Alex Arthur.
That's it, just step in a little bit closer. He's not reaching now, he's stepping in with the punches, getting power into them. And this fellow is thinking defensively now. That's what he wants, get this fellow thinking defensively.
Again, the body shots rip home from this talented, special fighter.
He's just keeping a good steady pace, no reason to to up the pace, do anything silly. What he's doing is working fine. It's an 8-rounder, plenty of time on his side. Excellent round.
Right to the head, left to the body. That was Alex Arthur at his best.
Bognar shaking his head in the corner, pointing to a shoulder. I don't know if he's got an injury. Lovely body punching. See, as he stepped in with the shots, Bognar didn't have the room to back away and nullify the work. Stepping right in, he had the power. Even if he partially blocks him, enough power getting through to keep him on the defensive. And you saw the elbow coming down. He's tasted the body stuff before, doesn't want too much, but that was a lovely right hand punch. Bognar gesturing towards his shoulder as he sat down. So I don't know if he's losing heart already or if something's happened.
But there's distress signals already in the other corner. Arthur's looks cool and Bognar already looks fed up and frustrated. Slow getting up off his stool. A lethargic feel already from Laszlo Bognar, who was beaten in this round, the third, by Michael Gomez a few months ago. Beautiful straight right hand from Alex Arthur. Trained so well for this fight. Girlfriend Debbie expecting a baby within hours, and Arthur has kept cool. He says he desperately wants to be there for the birth, but he's got a job to do, and my word is he doing it.
Well, he's got half the job done already, Adam. This fellow is not thinking too much about inflicting pain. He's thinking about dodging pain, and he's not making a very good job of that.
He's looking for a way out now, Laszlo Bognar, and Alex Arthur calls out to us at ringside, showing the left hook to the body. The towel's going to go in. It's over in round 3. A very classy stoppage win for Alex Arthur. He was moved up a level. Laszlo Bognar did not want to know, and we have a star in the making. I know it's early days, but that's 8 out of 8, 6 by knockout, and I think, Jim, we're looking at a future champion.
Well, they're raving about him already without hopefully putting too much pressure on the kid, but he's a special talent. He did the job in the second round. I think at the start of the third round, Bognar's corner were more keener that the fight continued than Bognar was. I think the job was done. I think he was just looking for a comfortable spot in the canvas. He found one there, and Arthur gave him the excuse to go down and stay there. But the heart went out of the fight. You can see his face, no longer interested in the proceedings. The body shots particularly did the job. A couple of good solid head shots, but Bognar just didn't want to continue. So they can't say lucky punch, they can't say injury. The job was done in a real professional manner. It pounded the fight right out of Bognar.
As he had the heart broken out of him by this man. Look how happy Alex Arthur is in front of this Scottish crowd here, and his best win to date. Watch out for him in 2001. Alex, straight 8 wins now for you. That was the important one. You called for Laszlo Bognar, and you did it in style.
Well, we seen that guy fighting when he beat Michael Gomez, and we were down there and I actually fought that night. So I got showered and quick and came back out and watched the fight. And I said right away, even then in my second pro bout, I could beat that guy.
You had some easy opponents today, but this was no easy match for you. But you did it so impressively with the body shots and right hands.
Well, I was just got to take my time, pick my punches, see what was going to come, see what he was going to bring to the fight, and fortunately I never broke that much.
Does that sound out a warning to the British champion Michael Gomez? When would you be ready to tackle him?
Well, we're going to take it one fight at a time. You know, I know people are speaking 5 and 6 fights down the road. You know, I'm not really interested in Michael Gomez, and I'm sure he's probably not even really that interested in me. But if he's there down the line and we have to fight, then we'll have to fight. That's the way it goes, you know what I mean?
Let's bring your promoter Frank Warren in. Would you like to see that fight, Gomez against Arthur for the British title, sometime in the new year?
Well, Michael's going to fight for the world title in the new year, so we'll see what happens after that. But in the meantime, you know, Alex is doing a tremendous job. We're working hard with him, and he's producing the goods in the ring. And as he just said, we take it a fight at a time. He's still a young novice professional, but he's done a tremendous job tonight, and I'm pleased to see that, and we'll just step him up each time he fights now.
When you were bringing Nassim Hamed up, you said he was the best you've ever seen. Has Arthur come close?
I think he's a tremendous prospect. I said that from the beginning. That's why I made a determined effort to sign him. I don't just promote him, I manage him as well, and that's why I went after him, because I think, you know, he is a real outstanding talent, and I do believe he'll go on and win a world title the way he's going. He wants to learn, he wants to fight, and he listens, and when he gets into the ring, he does the most important thing, which is the business, and does it in style.
Finally, Alex, no news of the baby yet?
Oh, still nothing. Debbie will be sitting watching. I love you. I'll be home soon, and happy birthday to Connor Watson.
Fantastic, well done, and enjoy success.
No bother. Thanks, Adam. John myself.
He's a very endearing personality as well, but he will stand or fall by his ability. Spencer, is there lots of ability?
There is. I like him a lot. You saw it. You saw there, Laszlo Bognar. We've seen he beat Michael Gomez before, right?
No,
under par Gomez, but the way that he done that, the way that he done it, putting the combinations together. In the second round, he just decided to pick it up, let his shots go in threes and fours. You know, we were talking off camera the way he moves their head and everything else, and it was just such a mature performance by someone who's only having his 8th contest.
Barry, before we look at his work tonight, there's a point you want to make about the style of glove that he's wearing at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the way he tapes his gloves. He's clever. This guy watches everything, and he's watching stateside and having a look at what he's actually putting on his glove. He tapes his hands very carefully, and actually he's taped his gloves in the American. I think it was his own version of it. The whole idea is to tape the gloves tight, so that every time you hit with rock hardness. And he's a really disciplined, conscientious young pro. He rang me last night and said, "What do you think? What way do you think I should fight this guy?" He does it before each fight, and I just said, "Well, work off the jab, son, and just take it from the centre." And that's what he done. Everything off the jab. He's a southpaw, and he just took him apart. He's very clever. He's a real precocious talent. I disagree with Frank Warren. He's not a novice. He's very much the reverse of that. He's a very talented young fellow with a vast amount of ability.
I think that where he's learned his trade, and this is bringing Scott Harrison on as well. They're both from the same gym. Peter Harrison trains them. They both work together. They work sparring 8 rounds a day, every day, and they're just both
They don't
coming
work.
on.
They don't spar 8 rounds a day every day. They spar for a week last week. In fact, they don't spar so much now because 2 of them are so talented, and I think it becomes too competitive. But it has indeed actually spurred them both on, and their levels of performances have improved as a result.
He looks quite a big guy for a super featherweight. Do you see him eventually maybe being a lightweight?
Yeah, I think that he'll move up to lightweight, definitely. I think that he'll only hold super featherweight for a short space of time. He's very big. You look at his legs are very thick set, and I think that he's certainly going to go up and he will end up a lightweight. I
again disagree with you. I think he's going to be fighting in campaigning at super featherweight. That's the way he's so
devastating. Yeah, he will at the
at.
moment, but he will end up he will go up as lightweight. He's
what
very
championships
big for a
he
super
wins,
feather.
he'll actually win at super featherweight.
Can you agree about anything tonight?
No, I don't agree.
Now we go to Glasgow. Earlier there tonight, another young Scottish prospect. They are starting to come through now. 22 years of age, Willie Limond of Glasgow. 13 straight wins at super featherweight before tonight, looking to extend the run against the veteran Keith Jones.
Round 1. Following the recent Scottish surgence of Alex Arthur, Scott Harrison, and even Brian Carr finally winning a Commonwealth title in this ring a couple of weeks ago. 1 or 2 youngsters aiming to grab onto their coattails and build on this publicity. One is unbeaten, Willie Limond in the yellow trunks with a black stripe, who looks fairly useful, still only 22, and up against the most used fighter probably in the world. Yes, it's number 71 for Welshman Keith Jones. The southpaw from Kevin Hengoed, who we saw last week, didn't we?
Yep, probably the week before that as well, Adam. Yeah, busy young man. Willie Limond, good little prospect in Scotland here. Now and again has to give away weight to keep himself busy. But he's a fighter who can afford to do that because lovely boxer, doesn't hang around, doesn't get involved in wars. Looks upon himself as a boxer as opposed to a big puncher.
Yes, he's giving away half a stone here to Keith Jones, who's a light welterweight, really. Can go as high as welter on the night. It's 10 stone 7, and Willie Limond coming in at 9.5 so a little size difference in there. He'll have to use his skills, but should have the speed and that jab to keep the southpaw at bay.
Yeah, these are the right tactics. He's standing his ground. He's not allowing himself to be backed up. He's just standing his ground. He wants to counter, but he's standing his ground, just drawing the leads. Some nice little combinations we've seen already.
See how far he gets his left leg across there. Limond really stretching out. Can't afford to do that with Keith Jones, who has that crab-like crouch style from which he boxes behind. Right to the body from Limond, who's keeping things at range here. Can throw one or two uppercuts on the inside too. They like the look of him here, don't they?
Yeah, he's a good controlled boxer, improving all the while. He'll be looking for some title shots in the not too distant future, not in any big hurry. Just a kid with boxing nicely here.
Just being tied up there by the experience of Jones, who gives him a little tap at the end of the round. Well done, son, good start. Unbeaten in 13 now, fought a couple of weeks ago here at the Bellahouston Leisure Centre, and looked pretty good outpointing the Ukrainian warhorse Rakim Mingalayev. The success rate over double there. Look how many he landed in comparison to Jones, 5 times as many.
Yeah, he didn't really give Jones a chance to get started in the first round there, just kept him occupied, kept him under pressure with little feints, little bursts of punches.
There's Keith Jones. Who's he got in his corner this time? It's Di Gardner.
Almost 10 seconds.
His manager, sometimes it's Gary Thomas.
Second out, round 2.
Here's the second round in the 9 stone 4 super featherweight division. Scotland's big prospect Alex Arthur is at this weight, so to Willie Limond. Here, black boots and yellow trunks for the tall, upright fighter from here in Glasgow. Straight out of the textbook. Good right there, and Jones beckons in him, but he just waits, biding his time. Looks mature for only 22.
Yeah, he's looking more and more confident every time he's out as well. You can see the concentration, doesn't make too many mistakes. You can actually see the thoughts going through his mind, what he wants to do, looking for the openings, doesn't just throw wild punches. Nice controlled boxer.
This is like he's trying to work out a puzzle. Just follow his eyes as he steps away. Like this. There's the brain ticking over. What will he do next?
And again, just standing his ground. He realises giving away weight, don't let the other fella come forward if you can help it.
Don't let him sap your energy. Watch the head, says referee Paul Graham. Impressive amateur career for Limond, 60 fights. Scottish ABA title, 5 times Scottish youth, 5-time Western District champion too. Jones being made to miss here. Offensive work from him. Don't see that very often.
You can see the sharp reflexes of Limond. If he misses with a punch, the way he just gets that head away from the counter. Everything nice and sharp.
This is too snappy for Jones. Doesn't really would know where the next punch is coming from. He's being confused by the orthodox Limond. He tries the right. Very difficult prizing open the defence of someone like Keith Jones, who's fought so many different styles and is pretty useful at what he does.
Yeah, but he's learned his trade. I mean, he wants to keep working week after week, then he can't afford, obviously, to be stopped or take silly punches. So he knows how to survive, knows how to keep that chin out of trouble.
Stop bowling.
Again, just taking his time, the patient Willie Limond. Peter McNabe and Willie Connolly working the Limond corner, the man who was the European bronze medal winner and also took gold at the Gaelic Games, Limond, so done very well up here in Scotland.
Lovely sharp counter punching there. Every time Jones misses with a lead, he's punished for it. That just slips the head out of range, back in with the counters. Lovely balance. There it is. Textbook boxing, isn't it?
33-3. 10 times as many. Landing from Limond. Round 3 in the 14th professional fight for young Willie Limond from Glasgow. 5'7" tall. Went in at 9'5½". That's just a £1.5 pound over the super featherweight limit, which he will surely be able to make with ease when it comes to title fights. Up against the resilient Keith Jones. He's 32. He's only won 7 in 70, but that doesn't do him justice. He fought last week, taking Colin Lines the full 6 rounds at Wembley. Always puts on a good effort and show. May have to get a win at some point soon, though. The board will be looking at that.
Yeah, but I mean, the board know what they're looking at. He doesn't get tuned up. He knows what he's doing. He's a journeyman. He does this for a living, picks up the regular wages, doesn't get beaten up, not in too many wars. So I think the board have the sense to let him carry on doing what he's doing. And he always puts up a show.
He does. Comes from his day job working in an air conditioning factory unit in South Wales. He's married with a family and answers any calls at all. Turning up just before he has to box. And he goes in and does his best every time. And as Jim was saying, preserves himself so that he can fight week in, week out.
I mean, he's being well outboxed here, but he's catching a lot of the punches, and his gloves are partially catching them. Just doing enough to put up a show. I mean, he obviously would like to pin Limond down and get some punches home, but Limond just too sharp for him.
Standing very tall Limond, officially only an inch of height between them, but the crouch of Jones reduces that, and the reach of Limond is allowing him to outbox the Welshman. He's getting a bit frustrated now, Jones, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been trying things. You can see him setting up moves, but Limond just takes a little half step back, just breaks his concentration, and he's got to start all over again. Some people would maybe get the idea he wasn't trying all that hard, but he's trying all he knows. It's just that Limond's a step ahead of him all the way.
Forced to back into Limond's corner there, Jones.
See, I like the way Limond's doing that. He's just standing his ground, not being backed up. He's counter-punching some of the time, but not being pushed back. Just standing his ground, letting nice little salvos of punches go.
Digging in solid blows when he needs to. Nice display here from Limond. Well, it's obvious who is winning this fight by a mile. 160-54 a couple of weeks ago over Mingalaev. Rarely loses a round. Piston-like jab, and a pretty good boxer. Is he doing anything wrong?
Not a thing wrong, no, and at this level I don't expect him to lose. Hardly at this level should he lose a round. It won't be too long before they want to start stepping up in class slightly. Not in any great hurry, he's only 22. But so that he doesn't become bored and start making silly mistakes, they might want to step him up slightly in class. He's ready for that.
Willie Limond ranked about 13 in the super featherweight division domestically, looking for his 14th straight win. It should be a formality if he stays on his feet here against Keith Jones, and that looks likely because Jones only has 3 stoppage wins in 70 fights. Cool, classy boxing from Limond. Been very patient and has dealt with Keith Jones pretty well. British champion Michael Gomez, Commonwealth Annex Moon, and the strongest division, the super featherweight, so Limond could get into the mix. How would you compare him to someone like Craig Doherty, who only lasted a couple of rounds with Gomez in that British title fight recently?
Yeah, well, I don't think Craig really did himself justice in that one. Craig's a little bit better, and I think his tactics were all wrong. I think the big occasion got to him, but maybe slightly favour Limond in that one, but that would be a good match for him, actually.
Yes, Doherty was drawn into a brawl by Gomez. Good upright boxer. I don't think Limond, if he had the chance, would do that. He looks a bit too clever for that. Certainly tried to box his way in. Look at him. His mind ticking over again.
I mean, it's good that he's winning it how he likes. He's winning it so clearly. He hasn't lost focus or concentration, not doing silly things, not putting a show on for the fans, trying to get fancy, just everything business-like.
Against the man who lost his first 7 fights back in 1994, retired, and came back in 96 to become Britain's most used journeyman. Absolutely loves the sport, Keith Jones. And when he does get a chance to arrive early, he'll happily talk about the prospects he fights and how he rates them. A good right hand, the odd success.
I think Limond has just completely confused him from the first bell. He just can't get started at all.
Everything still very correct from Willie Limond. No risks, no chances taken here. Hardly looks like he's broken sweat, Willie Limond. Controlled spar. He's boxed beautifully. A deserved big win for Willie Limond. I doubt he dropped around there. Guy Gardner offering him congratulations from the opposite corner. Huge success rate, landing 71 of his 184 thrown. Big smiles from the Limond corner. And, well, you had everything to Limond, as did I.
Yeah, excellent. Just really a little workout for Limond. He wasn't extended in the slightest. I think we'll be seeing him moving up the level quite soon.
This may be a match with someone like Craig Doherty. Would be a very interesting local affair. Let's see if they can make that.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of super featherweight action, our referee, Mr. Paul Graham, has scored the contest as follows. For Jones, 36 points. For Limond, 40 points, your winner. And now undefeated in 14 professional contests, Willie Limond.
Good record, but he's not stopping many, Spencer. Is that going to be a problem for him?
He's not a big puncher. Maybe it might cause problems when he's going on to bigger things than maybe British titles or so, but technically he's sound, moves well, keeps his hands up nice and tight. Only 22 years of age, Paul, so they've got plenty of time to work with him.
How about the other fella, Barry? Jones. He must be in love with boxing. He must be.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, Keith Jones, the likes of Keith Jones, Des Gargano, we were just talking about it off air, you know, Dean Bramall, Seamus Casey, Peter Buckley, Miguel Matthews, Carl Taylor, Brian Coleman and such. Without these guys, the game would never survive. and the promoters know that, and they're terrific. They're terrific guys, and a lot of them go through the career completely unscathed because they know how to look after themselves and always put up competitive fights.
Earlier in Glasgow in the ring tonight, Nigel Wright, a man getting TV exposure here for the first time, but after an excellent amateur career, double English ABA light welterweight champion in 1998 and the year 2000, now starting out in the pro ranks, and up against him, Ernie Smith from Starport. Let's take a little look at Wright.
Excellent news in the 10-stone light welterweight division. Yet another prospect aiming to follow the success of Ricky Hatton, Eamon McGee and Junior Witter, and join the list of emerging talent like Colin Lyons and Gary Ryder. A very talented amateur in his third professional outing. His name, Nigel Wright, in the white trunks with the flashy tassels, meeting popular circuit fighter Gypsy Ernie Smith. He's only 23 and has already had 43 fights, and he likes to clown around.
Yeah, well, it's my first look at Nigel Wright. I've been hearing some nice things about him, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got. I've seen Ernie Smith once or twice. We would expect a victory, obviously, for Nigel Wright, but we'll see how well he accomplishes that.
The first thing we notice is that he's a southpaw. Double English ABA light welterweight champion, Wright. And Smith trying to rough him up very early on to break that close guard. He's rushing in a bit right here.
Yeah, well, I think the 4 3-minute round fight in the pro game is not enough for kids to box their way into a fight. I mean, if you lose the first round, then you're up against it, so obviously you've got to get off the mat quickly. Sometimes it forces young kids into making mistakes, but not only at the amateur game. I suppose 4 3s, they should be used to that.
Poking out the southpaw jab, and Smith, as usual, going back into the corners, trying to hit just after the break and manhandle Wright. Only 2 years older, Ernie Smith, but already you can see the experience of the man from Stourport, who has to take a combination there. It's time to adjust the shorts there, Wright. Once again, darting in, Smith, and out. The rip in the left hooks to the body, but walks into a blow there from Wright, and just to turn around, and he's caught in the corner and has to hold on now, Ernie Smith.
Excellent start there from Wright, didn't take any silly punches, got a few good shots of his own. Excellent first round.
And a big mark under the right eye of Ernie Smith.
Keep your chins up and your chin down. Okay. Don't usually call you on the chin area because you do what? You got your chin.
Does just charge in sometimes, Ernie Smith, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's picked up experience here. He does kind of unusual things. He's just probably trying to unsettle Wright in the early stages, but he made a couple of mistakes himself and was punished for those. Good positive start from Wright, right down to work, making good use of the southpaw stance. Good right hand, and that following left had Smith a little bit of trouble.
There is Nigel Wright with Peter Cope in his corner. Round 2, 10 stone or 140-pound light welterweight division. The white trunks, white boots, and British flag of Nigel Wright from Crook, trains in Hartlepool, up against the man from Stourport on 7 in Worcestershire, Ernie Smith, calls himself Gypsy. Pat Cowdell's men. He's only won 7 of 43. And he's got his work cut out early on with this Wright. Big things expected of Nigel Wright. Hartlepool boxing not had a British champion since the days of George Feeney in 1985. Just pushing around the back of the head there, Wright. He makes it uncomfortable for you, doesn't he, Ernie Smith?
Yeah, well, some of Wright's punches are going off target, but I think that's down to Smith's awkwardness, the way he turns away from punches and messes and mauls you around. But this is a good night's work for him. Smith will keep him on his toes, Adam. He'll keep on his toes. That's what you want to see at this stage.
That's exactly what he'll do. A couple of weeks ago, he fought a former England amateur international in Lance Crosby, who he took the distance. Quite used to messing around these prospects. Good learning experience here for Nigel Wright.
Well, I like to see young professionals who use the jab properly. It's not just a range finder, he's snapping it out and he's keeping Smith under control with it. Maybe just a little bit too eager to please.
This catches a right on the way in, and that encourages Smith. Always likes to go for broke at some point during a fight. He's strong and resilient, Smith, and plenty of heart.
Yeah, but Wright was okay, reacted well under pressure, they covered up nicely, good tight defence, just waited till the little burst was over, then fired back with some counters. That's the right way to cope.
Probably a good match this for Wright in his third outing. He's got wins over Keith Jones, the southpaw from Wales, that was in February, and then a first round cut stoppage of Tommy Peacock in September. Quite know how much power he's got yet. We'll see as he develops.
I like the way he's pressurising Smith. You know, he's just walking him down, not giving him any room, not giving him any time. We just get a little bit messy. The referee's asking them to tidy it up a little bit.
A good right hook there from Wright. And Smith trying to turn his man in another corner and throws a couple in just on the bell. Wright smiles. A hand raised from Ernie Smith. What a character he is. Final round here of Nigel Wright's third professional fight, and he surely got 3 rounds in the bag against Ernie Smith. The rib trunks of the Stourport man, who's been competitive but pretty limited, and the far better work coming from the man who had 18 England vests at amateur level, fought in the Commonwealth Games, World Championships, and a 2-time English champion.
A little blood now coming from the right eye of Smith to add to his problems.
Yes, badly marked up now, all around the face, and the eye looks bad. Paul Graham's going to take him back to Pat Cowdell in the corner. It may have been a clash of heads, we think, at ringside. Looks fairly deep. Doctor's having a look at it. Will he be allowed to carry on? Looks like he will be. We've got a couple of minutes to go anyway. Good headshots as well from the southpaw from the Shildon Amateur Boxing Club. A part of Gus Robinson's stable in Hartlepool. It's a very, very heavily populated division at the moment, the light welterweights, but good to see new talent coming up. How does he compare to someone like a Colin Lynes, Jim?
Well, I mean, we'll have to give him his chance. At the stage he's at, his third fight, really, you couldn't ask a lot more. Everything he's done has been bang on. Nothing silly, everything controlled. A couple of little messy spells, but that's down to Smith. I mean, he's out of his depth here. He just wants to see the distance out.
have a southpaw in Eamon McGee, Commonwealth champion, and a switch hitter in Junior Witter. Always difficult to fight the port-sided man. And good quality stuff here from Wright. May well be one to look out for. Closing this the way he started. And the Ernie Smith face a mask of blood now. I think it was an elbow that caused the cut, but everything else has been pretty sweet from Wright tonight.
Smith just trying to see out the 4 rounds now.
That was low. Didn't bother him though. That's a good sign. Experience as an amateur, and he's bringing that to the game. Right. No complaints. Got on with the job. Oh, that's a fairly impressive display from Nigel Wright. And the formality is given to him. 3 out of 3. There's delighted fans holding up a big flag. Back there, he punches the air to them all from Crook and Hartlepool. And Jim, what do we think?
Well, yeah, I think that in a third professional fight, I think he showed us everything that we want to see. Good controlled boxing, good snap in the punches, didn't take anything back. You know, a clear victory, couldn't have won it much clearer, as the stats are showing us here.
Nearly 200 punches thrown and almost 100 landed. That's a good success rate for the talented former 2-time ABA champion. And it'll be interesting to see how he develops.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of superb light welterweight action, our referee, Mr. Paul Graham, has scored the contest as follows. For Smith, 36 points. For Wright, 40 points. Your winner, and now undefeated in 3 professional contests, Nigel Wright.
Double English ABA champion before turning pro. How is he making the transition for you, Spencer?
Still looks very amateurish. I mean, he was an amateur. Barry was saying off there, he's been amateur a long, long time, so it's going to take a little while to adjust. Only his 3rd fight, trying a little too hard. You see him tensing up a lot and trying to load up with every shot. So he just needs to relax, start slowing it down and just trying to adjust the style from the amateurs to the pro.
We're going to see some amateur action in just a moment or two, actually, Barry. The transition is not always a natural one, is it?
It's not always easy for guys to make that transition, to make that gap up. It's a different style, a different technique. You've got to settle down a bit. You don't have to lose your skill that you've inherited from the amateur game, but you've got to embellish it, make it better, learn to settle down, learn to pace yourself, and what's more, learn to punch with more precision.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay. He flops a little bit, like Spencer says. He's got a few things to iron out, but not bad for a 3rd pro fight.